The Dallas Cowboys offseason should be approached like a puzzle. You have to know what the picture looks like beforehand before you start grabbing random pieces to try to fit them together. Keeping that in mind, I thought it'd be a good idea if we take a look at the Cowboys' offense and defense to try to determine which one needs the most attention. It may be somewhat surprising, but the Dallas Cowboys pretty much have the entire puzzle almost put together. There is just a few missing pieces they need to add, but for the most part the team that will take the field when the 2019 season kicks off is already in place. There isn't going to be much roster turnover this offseason. Nearly all of the starters will return for the upcoming season on both sides of the ball, meaning the Cowboys are in good shape as far as having the team's nucleus in place. In fact, there might be just one or two starting positions up for grabs on offense and defense. Let's take a look. Dallas Cowboys offense. Dallas Cowboys OC Kellen Moore. As things stand right now, before any moves are made in free agency or through the draft, the Dallas Cowboys offense may have just 2 starting spots up for grabs. But even that's just a guesstimate because we still don't really know what the future holds for center Travis Frederick, even though all signs point to him making a triumphant return to the starting lineup. The way I see it though, the Cowboys will need to find someone to replace Cole Beasley in the passing game and also add a starting caliber tight end. That's it really as far as the starters are concerned. There is however need for more depth at several positions such as backup running back, offensive tackle, but those aren't necessarily needs. I'd say they're in pretty good shape offensively compared to years past. Dallas Cowboys defense. Dallas Cowboys assistant coach Chris Richards. Surprisingly enough, the Dallas Cowboys really don't have any glaring needs on the defensive side of the ball either. After finishing as one of the top defensive units in 2018, they will have nearly all of their starters returning for the 2019 season. But much like on the offensive side of the ball, there could be 2 starting spots up for grabs. The Cowboys will have to find someone to replace Damian Wilson as the starting strong side linebacker and potentially a new starting strong safety. That's really the only starting positions I believe are up for grabs on defense. But like the offense, they could stand to add more depth and competition throughout the defense, especially along the defensive line. But again, there really isn't a glaring need they absolutely have to address. Verdict: Cowboys offense. Dallas Cowboys QB Dak Prescott. Photo by Tom Pennington, Getty Images. Even though the Dallas Cowboys offense and defense seems to be pretty evenly matched as to how many starting positions are up for grabs, the offense looks to be the one that needs just a little bit more help. The defense proved in 2018 they are someone to be reckoned with, and with the loss of just Damian Wilson, that shouldn't change. The same can't be said about the offense though. If Cole Beasley does indeed leave via free agency, that's a big blow to the passing game. But it's not just him. Other than the rushing attack, the Cowboys' offense was ranked in the bottom half of the league in nearly every other category. With offensive coordinator Scott Linehan now gone, we can hope that improves, but that doesn't mean improving the offense shouldn't be the Cowboys' main off-season focus though. Of course, this is just my opinion and you are more than welcome to agree or disagree with it. But when the free agency and NFL draft ball finally starts rolling, I expect most of the Cowboys' off-season moves to be on the offensive side of the ball. Improving things around quarterback Dak Prescott would seem like the wise thing to do after all, especially since he's about to be paid quite handsomely. Which side of the ball do you think needs more help this offseason? 2019 free agency, 2019 NFL draft, 2019 offseason. Dallas Cowboys defense. Gary A. Vasquez. USA Today Sports. The Dallas Cowboys have plenty of work to do to restock and refine their roster in the hope of improving of last year's playoff run. We'll be looking at all of the 2019 needs for this offseason in the coming days, and we're going to start with paramount position of quarterback. Unlike most spots on the team, the quarterbacks don't have anyone with an expiring contract this year. Both Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush will be in the final year of their deals, while Mike White still has 3 years left on his rookie contract. Despite this, Prescott's contract is still one of the hottest issues the Cowboys face this offseason. They must decide if they want to go ahead and lock him up now to a long-term extension, or wait and see how Doc performs in his fourth season. It's a real dilemma for Dallas. On the one hand, Prescott already has 2 Pro Bowls, 2 division titles, and all winning seasons on his 3-year resume. However, he's also had ongoing accuracy issues and problems with consistent productivity in an increasingly pass-focused league. Given what he's already accomplished, Doc can command a pretty sizable contract in current negotiations. Just within the week, he's already commented on not planning to give the Cowboys a discount in his next deal. If Dallas waits another year, then they risk that price tag going up. They could be competing with the open market, or what if Prescott leads the team to the NFC Championship or beyond in 2019? If Doc's camp is already going to be aggressive in contract negotiations this year, then there's a case to be made for just waiting. Let him play on his bargain $2.14 million cap hit and use the savings to load up on talent for a championship run. The team will still have resources to re-sign Prescott in 2020, or even franchise tag him, if that's their choice. Dallas Cowboys QB Mike White. However that situation goes, we know that Doc is the starter in 2019. But even though Cooper Rush and Mike White are both due to return next season, should the Cowboys be satisfied with that QB depth chart? As I wrote about earlier this week, Dallas has good reason to look at adding a veteran passer to the mix this offseason. If Rush and White beat them out, that's great. But if not, it adds an experienced voice to help Dak Prescott in this critical upcoming year. You can go a few different ways. Some of the projected free agents can match Prescott's mobile style, such as Tyrod Taylor, Trevor Seaman, or Robert Griffin III. Others give you the experience edge, such as Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh McCown, or Matt Schaub. It doesn't seem likely that the Cowboys would draft another QB after just taking Mike White last year with a 5th-round pick. Unless they are moving to a completely different philosophy, Dallas will likely give White at least another year or 2 to develop as a mid-round selection. Ideally, at least one of White or Cooper Rush will show some growth this year and inspire confidence as the immediate backup. But adding a veteran for competition certainly couldn't hurt, and Dallas has the cap space to do it. Thankfully, everything that Dallas might have to do this offseason at quarterback is optional. They can choose whether or not to redo Prescott's contract, or whether or not to pursue upgrades behind him. There is no gaping hole being created by a potential free agent departure. The Cowboys have the power now, but that can quickly change next season once Doc's a free agent. That's why they still have a big decision to make in 2019. With a report coming out of Philadelphia that the Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to be offering a contract to Golden Tate prior to the start of NFL free agency on March 13, there have been many in Cowboys Nation clamoring for the former Detroit Lions wide receiver to be a free agent target for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys may have a need in the slot in 2019, with speculation raging about the future of Cole Beasley with the Dallas Cowboys. It's possible that Golden Tate could fill that void if Beasley were to depart. Here's my internal debate about why the Cowboys should and shouldn't pursue him. Why the Cowboys could pursue Golden Tate need other than Amari Cooper. The Dallas Cowboys don't have a player on the roster for 2019 that has any extensive experience working out of the slot in the NFL. Cole Beasley's potential departure leaves a hole on the wide receiver depth chart. Dak Prescott loves Cole Beasley. When he was able to run the offense the way he wanted to, Beasley flourished. Doc enjoys the benefits of a good slot receiver because he likes to throw the ball on crossing routes over the middle of the field. Golden Tate could be that guy. Golden Tate has long been one of the best in the NFL with running routes out of the slot. Per Pro Football Focus, in 2018, Golden Tate had 49 receptions in the slot, which ranks him tied for 10th in the NFL with Larry Fitzgerald. His 504 yards from the slot ranked 16th in the NFL, which was only 63% of his receiving yards on the season. On the season, he had 3 of his 7 touchdowns in the slot, good for 16th in the NFL. Productive. As I mentioned above, Tate has been one of the best slot receivers in the NFL, and has also been effective on the outside as well. Prior to this last season, where he was traded mid-season from Detroit to Philadelphia, Tate had recorded 90-catch seasons in each of the previous 4 seasons. With Detroit those 4 years, he had at least 1,000 yards and he's averaged 4.2 receiving touchdowns since his second year in Seattle. Golden Tate's price point could drop heading into free agency. He was supposed to be a player that helped Philadelphia get over the hump in the NFC East, but he didn't work out. There's a good chance that Tate finds the market for his services to be pretty shallow, given this is a decent draft for slot wide receivers. NFL teams could opt to draft an Andy Isabella or Deebo Samuel in the 2nd or 3rd round as opposed to pay Tate for 2 to 3 years in the twilight of his career. Why the Cowboys won't pursue Golden Tate age. The Dallas Cowboys aren't typically a team that is going to pay an aging player. If Cole Beasley doesn't resign a deal with the Dallas Cowboys, it won't be because of the money or the opportunity, it will be because Dallas declined to pay age. Golden Tate will turn 31 in August as he enters his 10th season in the NFL. Tate has now played 137 games. Players don't usually get better with age. Free agency and the draft. As I mentioned above, this is a decent draft class for wide receivers, especially those who operate or could operate in the slot. The Dallas Cowboys have shown for much of the last decade that their preferred avenue of team building is through the draft. They'd rather take a guy like Isabella or Samuel in the 2nd or 3rd round and have his rights on a rookie deal for the next 4 years. Golden Tate doesn't fit the Cowboys' free agency MO. When they pursue players in free agency, it's the young players with a solid to elite trait that have yet to prove themselves, or it's the veteran who has had some nice years in the NFL that's in their mid-20s that is coming off of a down year. Like Allen Hurns. If the Cowboys are going to go into free agency to replace their star slot receiver, it's going to be with someone who is younger and may not be as proven as Beasley or Tate. In summary, the Dallas Cowboys aren't going to target Golden Tate in free agency. Why do that when they could resign a player they like and know in Cole Beasley, or draft someone and have them under team control on a rookie contract for the next 4 years? There are a lot of players who have done a lot in this league that are going to be released or not extended in the next few weeks. Some of them should be names of interest to the Dallas Cowboys, but many of them will be just names. Free agency is less than a month away, so make sure you continue to come by InsideTheStar.com for all the latest on Cowboys free agency. The Dallas Cowboys have several difficult decisions to make in the offseason, and one of those is what to do with their all-pro and often injured linebacker Sean Lee. A source tells it The Athletic DFW Sean Lee expects to play in 2019. Lee is scheduled to make $7 million in base salary. The 2018 season ended, Lee wanted to talk with family regarding his future. Now we know what he wants to do. Lee, long considered one of the best linebackers in the NFL, has regularly struggled to staunch healthy, including a 2018 campaign that saw Jimmy take a backseat to emerging players like Jalen Smith and rookie sensation Leighton Vander Esch. According to OverTheCap.com, Lee is slated to have a cap hit of just over $10 million this season. The Cowboys, if they were to release him, could save a little more than $7 million in this year's cap while accumulating just over $3 million in dead money toward this year's cap. Lee was limited to just 7 games in 2018 and was held out down the stretch. This after only playing in 11 games in 2017. During that 2017, the Dallas Cowboys were terrible on defense when Sean Lee sat out due to injury, but were able to flip the script in 2018. The Cowboys first signed Joe Thomas to provide depth at the linebacker position. Then they drafted Leighton Vander Esch with the 19th overall pick in the first round. Both of those players played significant roles throughout the season and have relegated Lee, who will be 33 years old in July, to being a cap casualty. The Cowboys will head into the offseason knowing that Jalen Smith is their middle linebacker and Vander Esch is their weak side linebacker for the 2019 season. Joe Thomas will be back and continues to provide depth backing up at a couple of spots. Damian Wilson is a free agent, but could be back depending on the money as he provides valuable, though limited snaps at strong side linebacker. Sean Lee has been a great player for the Cowboys when he's been available. 2018 was really the only time in his career that his injuries looked to catch up with him. Even when deemed healthy, he didn't look like the same player he had been earlier in his career. As he should, he'll explore his options in free agency and could be an option for a contender that could use a veteran presence like Lee at a relatively cheap rate. Someone like the Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers, or the New England Patriots could give Lee a limited role, which would allow him to be effective at his advanced playing age. It seems almost a foregone conclusion that if Lee plays in 2019, it won't be for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a tough business. As we've seen with DeMarco Murray, Tony Romo, Dez Bryant, and Jason Witten, the end of a tenure with a franchise comes to every one of our favorite players and sadly, it seems that time has come for Sean Lee.